Welcome to this energy healing, oracle messages, self-healing process. My name is Bree. I'm going to be guiding us today through potentially some meditation. And instantly reading that in the field is something that we may be really benefited to do together. So in today's session, it's possible, hello Brittany, it's possible we're going to drop into a meditation today, but we're going to see how things go. This is a very multifaceted space. So for those of you that are new and or maybe you're not new, maybe you've been here before multiple times, this is going to be a little bit of a different animal today. I chose this topic today of pace flexibility. So I really want all of you to be paying attention in this session as we go through different themes, as we go through different pathways, different elements of this experience, of this reality. What I want you to pay attention to is where you were being maybe forceful in your ego, or maybe just this is your own inner critic. Maybe this is your own, maybe it's a style of self-talk that you were programmed with. So this is possible that some of that programmed talk, inner talk, that you picked up on in your early years, that might be, let's say, hearable to you today. So you might pick up on the places where I'm seeing like a lot of different things that you're all doing. So some areas of your life, you're rushing yourself. Some areas of your life, you're almost trying to go unnaturally slow through certain things. But what my guides are pointing out to me about this session is that this is going to provide some clarity, re-navigation, and I'll even say renewal of our intuitive abilities as we go through the messages that our guides are going to provide for us. I'm just going to intend that we only receive today what is in the highest and best good of all, that we each individually plug into our monad, our source, that we also merge our root chakras with planet Earth to create a safe, stable filtration system. What my guides are showing me is 2022, 2023, we went through a radical karmic shift. A radical karmic shift where all of us started to get access to our galactic Akashic records. Not just me, who's writing books on this stuff and creating courses on this stuff and leading meditations on this stuff. No, everyone was granted re-access to their monad. And this was, what my guides are showing me was this created a crescendo effect where between 2022-ish, 2023, somewhere in that ballpark, it would be different for each of you depending on planetary alignments, is what my guides are saying. But they're showing me that a radical crescendo effect would have occurred for you where you're clearing through a lot of karma. A lot of karma. In other words, let's just say your soul did at some point fall into the reincarnation loop. Let's just say that. Let's just say at some point, your soul started to go through this reincarnation loop. Okay? Not saying it did. Some of you, this applies. Those karmic patterns that would have started to form upon your soul's initial decision to fall into this reincarnation loop, okay? Anything your soul would have started to create, this is a full Akashic session, so just so everyone knows, you would need to say yes for me to be receiving for you personally, but I am receiving from the Akashic records and I'm seeing varying monads right now. So a lot of karmic patterns would have cleared from you all since 2022, 2023. And what my guides are saying is, once we clear out those karmic patterns, if, let's say, who you are right now in your life, let's just say any of you that got patterned from these karmic patterns, when you clear those karmic patterns from your Akash, from your monad, from your soul, we can say, all of a sudden your set of rules and the way that you're moving through your life are going to be obsolete. They're going to be no longer viable. They're going to be no longer effective. They're going to go through a radical transformation. And this really involves pace. The rate at which you are moving through not only your life and your schedules, but the rate at which you're moving through karmic patterns. Thank you for being here. So they're saying this year of the fire horse, a lot of you are perceiving that it's going to be a really fast year. And for a lot of you, that's going to be true. For a lot of you, that's going to be true. This year is going to feel fast, especially after February 17th. It's going to feel really fast. But for some of you, it's not going to feel fast. For some of you, you've done so much karmic clearing over the last few years that you're going to kind of settle in, anchor in, and you're not, what they're showing me right now is fast energy and frenetic energy. So fast energy and frenetic energy. Fast energy, let's say, that is soulful is beautiful, but fast energy that's frenetic energy can be very tricky. Can be very tricky. It's the start of the Lunar New Year, so that's really when the fire horse energies are going to kick in. We have an eclipse that day. We also have a changing, my guides are saying, some planetary shifts. I'm not an astrological expert. I simply channel on astrological elements when my guides show it to me, and tell me to share what they're sharing. I don't necessarily understand what they're sharing when it comes to astrology and planetary alignments, but I find that each time we tap into it, we start to understand the archetypical alignments of the planets and then how they affect us here in this human form. But, okay, let me see here. I see, okay. So what they're saying is that from now until the 17th, anything that was, let's say, attempting to shed from you last year, in 2025, if you resisted it, buckle up. I don't know what to say to that. But basically, if there's anything left to be cleared from you until the 17th, you'll probably feel that clearing until the 17th. And maybe a little after. You know, these aren't precise, exact sciences. You as a soul get to choose how you're navigating the energies. There's just certain windows of time, alignments of star systems, alignments of many varying facets of reality that will create more conducive, or let's say less conducive, to certain energies. I hope that makes sense. But we're going to get into a bunch of card decks. We're going to play with a lot of card decks today. I'm not even going to read them all. If you want to find out what they are, go to my energy healing membership. Because I want to get the full, these guides are providing a lot today. Okay, so let's get the first archetypical energy we're kind of moving through right now. Whoop! Excuse me a moment. Okay, I see. Jack of Hearts and Open. Jack of Hearts, open. So I'm not exactly sure what this aligns to in the tarot, but for those of you that are using tarot as a modality to discover more about yourself and your soul, that might provide a little additional insight. Remember, all these energies okay? They just are, they is. All right, but our perspective is kind of what's shifting, corralling, and then shaping how we're receiving these energies that are. It's not so much that we're creating energies that weren't there, but a lot of the times in these spaces, what we're doing is refining our perception. So open, I see, okay. My guides are showing, and also I'm feeling a lot of energy in the solar plexus and the heart. And something about what I'm reading in the field is that some of you have a perception about having your solar plexus and your heart open. The way that my guides are showing me this within the Akashic records is that a lot of you, it's an interesting energy. It's a very interesting energy. It's almost that some of you feel more safe to open the solar plexus, and some of you feel more safe to open your heart. But what they're showing us as a collective group is that some of us struggle to have both kind of open and emanating, and really all of your chakras are always open and emanating. It's just to what degree. But what they're showing me is some of us kind of perceive a lack of safety, I will say, around keeping this solar plexus open and the heart open at the same time. They're kind of like showing me a feedback loop, and they're even showing me within the monads, some of us that, let's say, I don't know how to explain this part. I'm just making sure I'm understanding it right. And they're saying yes. They're saying some of us as souls, we're expert level at the heart chakra, the energy of the heart chakra. Some of us are expert level at the energy of the solar plexus. There's also some of you that are expert level in other chakras, but what they're showing me about the monads in particular is that we will attract souls to us that can help balance us. So some of you might identify one of those. Let's say, like, you're really feeling good about having the heart open, or you're really good about having the solar plexus open. Let's go further than that so that you guys can understand. Because some of you aren't really into chakras yet, and that's fine. Your path is your path. But what they're showing me about the heart is that you would feel very connected, or you would feel very safe to connect. So the heart is like a safe connection. It's like a very, when the heart feels safe to open, you feel safe to both give and receive. With the solar plexus, however, it's a little different. So with the solar plexus, if you're resonating more with, no, my solar plexus feels really safe to open, my heart doesn't so much, then that means that your soul has had a lot of, how do I say this part? I'll say it this way. Your soul has had lots of experience with embodiment. Okay? Embodiment. So in other words, your soul came into many embodiments and fully embodied. Okay? Fully embodied your soul's light. Fully, they're showing me that if that feels really natural, this solar plexus piece, then in this for the sake of this transmission, what you're going to be expanding more into is letting others in on your embodiment. So kind of scan and see which one feels more resonant for you. Some of you are going to resonate with both. Okay? Some of you are really going to resonate with both. get the Rose Oracle. I feel like we need to get a little bit finer, a little bit like more fine. 8. And know that as we go through the session, we're sitting here having a conversation, but your guides are also like quantum navigating your energy field. Like I see this as we go through the session, just so you all know. I'll be talking, blah, 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 okay? But what's really happening is that your energy field is opening and coming into a coherence. You also have guides that are assisting you with any tangles you're holding in your field. So if you are holding any disruptions to your flow, disruptions to your alignment, if you feel I'm embarrassing, you're probably working on a lot of embarrassment. Here's the thing about embarrassment. A lot of us like embarrassment our early years, our childhood years. We were embarrassed, you know? We were our full self. We were shining our light. We were, you know, in our element, in our flow, just unbridled, unencumbered. And then we had some nasty Michael person kind of show up and say, "You're embarrassing." And then we went, "Oh, I should be embarrassed about my light." No, you don't. No, you don't need to be embarrassed about your light. And I hope that if this individual is still in the space, that you do some inner child healing. If you're telling people they're embarrassing or you're saying you should be embarrassed, trust that's your inner child that's wounded. And so I hope you heal, you know? I would just block you right off the bat, but maybe you can do some healing, you know? Look at all the stuff that's like coming out in the world right now. Like there's a lot of ugly. A lot of ugly is coming out right now. Which is going to activate what part of us? The part of us that does what? Does anybody know what part of your ego is going to be really activated by all of this? I'll just share it. Judging the judger. If there's a part of you that says, if there's a part of you that's been conditioned to say, every time I see someone judging, I'm going to judge them. Judge the judger. It's a protective mechanism. It's a protective mechanism. But I'm finding that even myself. Like there's a part of me that was, you know, I called him nasty. I don't really like that I called him nasty. That's kind of judging the judger. I'm not going to judge the judger anymore. Let's all be really cognizant when someone's throwing an attack at us. Can we understand that we can send that attack right back to source without judging the judger? Okay, codes of the seeds. And a lot of you, this is what's coming through actually I'm glad that this person said embarrassment, because a lot of you, your light language is like, I'll say, can I say this like this? Yeah, they're saying I can. Your light language is making an attempt to move through you, okay? But your ego is embarrassed. Your ego is embarrassed. So when light language is going to move through you, if you're too much in that embarrassment, and like, what will people think? And oh no, people are going to judge me. And this sounds weird. And oh no. Then you won't be able to enjoy this absolute, pure, fluid expression of your crystalline energy through your being. So the blueprint is within you. Take the next step. The blueprint is within you. Take the next step. This is a reminder, all these things that you're seeking or desiring for yourself, maybe you're labeling it as like, I need to get the right mental frame to like embody this version of myself I want to be. Like, no, that's so old paradigm. everything that you need is within you already. You were born an absolutely perfect, pure, whole, complete, loving soul. You came into this planet with everything that you could ever need while on this planet. And especially with things like light language, let's just say that you're seeing this wake up in other individuals, but it's not waking up in you. Don't judge the judger, because what you're going to be judging there is your own self. Light language channels from source. If you must know. So even if like you're saying something isn't for you, okay, but how much of that is your ego just trying to protect you because you don't want to face the embarrassment? You don't want to face people judging you, and you're afraid of judgment. So you're unconsciously running as fast as you can from yourself. How ridiculous is that? It's pretty ridiculous, right? But we do this because it's a pattern that starts to get patterned within us early on, and then we go unconscious to it. So it's very active in the field. This is why people that can see auras and quote unquote read minds, they're not really reading minds, they're reading the aura. But what is happening is when you, let's say, can read energy, you might feel someone expressing a message to you, right? And you can see there's an incoherence, a dissonance between what is being spewed at me, their program that's being spewed at me, and them as a soul. You'll be able to feel it very palpably. You'll be able to feel it within you that what is being projected at you isn't even necessarily it's not the soul that's in front of you. It's the ego that's in front of you. So it's important for us to be able to discern these things, especially because it is the year of the fire horse, and we're gonna be looking at a different world a year from now, a very different world. I mean, this is true of like all of history, but this year in particular, it's like, no, we're clearing out the underworld and we're ascending into a completely new, to us it's new, to our soul it's remembered, to us it's new. We mirror what people are unwilling to face. And for those of you that are going to go on to really serve the world in a direct capacity, you're going to meet those people's egos that are trying to protect against what you are there to assist that soul with. So I need you all to be really aware of that. Within your clients, you're going to see those parts of their ego that are like, no, don't come in here. I'm the crypt keeper. You shall not pass. That energy. You're going to get that in sessions, whether you're serving a group or an individual. If you're doing your job well, that's going to come up. Do you have to practice light language? No. The same I do for songs and stuff. No, Darren. No. It is not practiced. It is not studied. It is not read from a sheet of music. It is the sound, the frequency, the vibration of your soul in direct connection with Source. That's what it is. So it's not something you learn. It is not something you study. It is not something you read a book on. Everything isn't light. There is darkness. There is real darkness. We got to be careful with our ego's desire to believe everything is light. Because light can become distorted. Light can be reshaped from its original. Think about the prism, like when you shine a light and then you get the rainbow coming out. There's Yeah, I'm not going to go further on this because it makes me spicy, and I don't want to get spicy today. I've got enough spices in my coffee. Okay. I'm not sure what deck they want me to use. They're pointing to like all the decks at once. They want me to choose. Okay. Is speaking in tongues just like light language? My guides are saying no, because this is what you're referencing, though, has a lot to do with the transmission I brought through earlier this week about shamanism turning over. So this also has to do with that rapid karmic clearing. Okay? So I would almost say speaking in tongues was like bringing up elemental beings or like inner earth beings. Whereas I would call light language something that definitely comes in. I mean, it's not like there's above or below. It's like all, it's just very complicated. But they're just showing me that light language is really channeled from the heart. The heart. Let's just ask this deck on this, like what we're talking about right now. Let's try to get a message on this topic. 3. Yeah. Holy Grail, Sacred Union, 29. This is a very good replication of what we're talking about here. So I would almost call, this is what's coming through about the tongues thing. It's not that it's not, it is divine, but it's also very earthly. Whereas when the light language that I typically find coming through, it definitely feels to be coming from more of the ethers than, say, earth. But earth is very involved, and we need to involve earth, because these codes that are coming through, they may not make sense to us in our ego or as the person that we are right now. But it's definitely something that, what my guides are saying, that if it's a, oh, interesting. My guides are saying that it has to do with soul contracts. It actually has to be chosen. Interesting. They're saying it's a pre-birth contract. I see. Okay. So this is interesting. This is a new perspective on this than I've had before. They're saying some souls will choose not to utilize it. Wow. But they're also saying this. Okay, this is interesting. Because of all this karmic clearing, this can change. Now that you're back in touch with your monad, now that you're back in touch with your Akash, you may, as a soul, have had a pre-birth contract. I am not going to utilize light language. But now as a soul, it's almost like you're having your own little, you don't have to actually have an NDE. You can simulate one. And you can basically say, you can look for yourself within your Akashic records and see, is this something I want to re-pattern? Do I want to change this contract? Contracts aren't, what they're showing me about contracts is that there are some contracts that are pretty firm. They're not firm because it's like life is unfair and you have to go through this thing. Some of them are firm just because your soul came to the planet to really expand in certain areas. And you can't just like say, oh, I want to, some of us, like for me, for example, I've had a lot of experience with judgment in this life. Judgment kind of coming in at me, judgment, like since day one, like just tons of judgment. And so it wouldn't be helpful for me as a soul to go up to my Akashic records and say, I want to make this easy peasy, do the easy, write off and say, I don't want to experience judgment anymore. Because the truth is, judgment is an important lesson while we're here on this earth plane. So it's an important lesson for us to recognize that everyone's working through their own set of lenses, their own set of experiences. How another being is judging me is not a reflection of me. it's a reflection of something that those other beings are judging within themselves. That's an important lesson that we have to experience. We can't just go to the Akashic Records and easy peasy write it off. But now things like light language, you may be recognizing that your set of tools, let's say, like your meditation practice, your time in nature, maybe you're going to therapy, maybe you are you recognizing that you need more of a need for community, so you're going into community more, and you're doing all of these things, but something feels a little bit missing, and you're resonating with light language, other people's light language. That would be an opportunity for you to go to your Akashic Records and sit with your guides and say, I want to start exploring this. I know that pre-birth I chose not to be accessing this, but now with everything that has been cleared and everything I have worked through, I'd like to access this. And you would even, for those of you that are applying to this, because I chose pre-birth, so I don't know what you're working with, but I can see what you're working with. And basically, if you're resonating with what I'm saying, then I would encourage you to get really clear about what you want to utilize the light language for. So maybe it's an area that you're really working on. Maybe you're into the gene keys and you've got one kind of gene key that keeps presenting in your life and you're kind of like feeling stuck in the shadow of that gene key, let's say. You could say, I want to utilize light language to deepen into this, to get deeper into myself in this area or that area. And then my guides are also showing me about this card. They're saying a lot of you would be really served to have this reminder. Some of us already know this, okay? But some of you really need this reminder that feminine energy isn't like bows and cute and glitter and like, I don't know, like doing the dishes and like mothering and like all of these like things that we have conditioned about what feminine energy is. Also, masculine energy isn't just like suits and business and toughness and responsibility. And what they're doing here as they talk through me in this comedic way is they want us to recognize that our divine feminine, our divine masculine are inherent in our soul. These are inherent divine energies. So don't be deceived by what the world wants to teach you about what feminine or what masculine is, or maybe you were incarnate into like a feminine vessel, but you feel more certain ways. Some of those feelings and sensations have come from media, have come from programming, have come from schooling, have come from, I hope you're hearing me. We're going to play the game because I want you guys to get really poignant in yourself. Even though this is a collective message, I really want you to all come to this space and truly get something out of it. My goal isn't to sit here and have you all go, she did a good job. My goal is to sit here and have you walk away from this session feeling more in touch with yourself, more in love with yourself, more trusting of yourself, more aware of who you are, more aware of, some of this has to do with recognizing your programming, which can be triggering, but the trigger is not there to hurt you. The trigger is there to move you through something that will create soulful evolution and actually shift the way that you're experiencing life. A lot of you are used to energetic shifting, and you've had many energetic shifts. You recognize that once you have an energetic shift, now you will confront, greet, be with a situation that a few years ago or a few months ago would have driven you nuts. It would have sent you off the deep end. It would have made you feel awful about yourself. It would have sent you into like an anxious spiral. or a depressive spiral. But all of a sudden, after shifting your energy, coming more home into yourself, when you experience these things, you're not going to have the same, you're going to basically split screen your life, and you're going to realize, wow, I don't even understand. I don't even know what it's like to have been triggered by this. I don't remember even why this thing used to trigger me. This is what you're going to find in life if you're really doing the work. And I would encourage you all to really do the work on self. And it's not because you're broken. It's not because you're flawed. It's not because anything about you is bad. It's because you came in with this divine soul. And the world is going to try to convince you to forget that. The world is going to try to get you to match it because that's just the essence of this reality. But if we don't take the time to recognize why things are triggering us, why our life is the setup it is, why we experience the things we experience in the way we experience them, then we're just walking around from the ego, and we are unconscious even to our soul. So we're going to play the game. I want you to just kind of gather up all the energy that we just moved through today and just ask Spirit, please help me get a confirmation, a clarity, a revelation, maybe an affirmation on everything that I just discovered within myself, shifted through within myself. And now I want you to just connect energetically from your heart to this deck. And numbers 1 through 9, the first number that you are feeling, hearing, seeing, sensing, just type that number in the comments. You may want to take a few breaths. A lot of threes. A lot of 3, 6, 9. Look at us. Woo! We're getting somewhere if we're getting the 3, 6, 9 on repeat. This is fun. Your number is always 7. Why is that? I would say that has to do with your intuition. But it's up to you what it means for you. It's also the crown chakra. So Kroll-Ketos, just come up with a number, 1 through 9. And just say, guides, help download everything I missed today so that I can get the right message here. I'm not here to tell you the meaning of things, okay? Meaning is not inherent in the field. You are the one that is drawing up the meaning. Okay? Things will be presented to you and you'll have 50 people witness it and they're all going to take away 50 different things. Yup. So don't ask me for meaning. Find your own meaning. Otherwise it won't be valuable to you. I'm not here to have the answers for you. I'm here to help you guide yourself within. Okay, so we're going to do the messages. So if you got 16, it's 7 in numerology. If you get 69, then it's 6 plus 9, and you add them together, and then you keep adding them together until you get one digit. Okay, so I don't think anyone said 1, but I'm going to hold it up for the sake of that maybe people in the future said 1. Okay? 1 is freedom, just be you. This reminds me a lot of like the eye doctor. Like when they do that, they puff your eye and they make you look through the thing and then they sharpen it. Okay. Okay, so 1, freedom. 2, Joseph of Arimathea, trailblaze and innovate. Beautiful art. Such beautiful art. You have an eye doctor appointment this morning? That's so crazy. Kelly, that's fun. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is like the biggest message, so I'm probably going to put this. Love thy neighbor. Being of service. So based on this 3 card, if you picked a 3, it's interesting because the solar plexus is the 3rd chakra, but it feels like this message is more to confirm that your heart is the one that's like pretty already skilled at opening, serving, flowing. I'm going to go deeper on that, but I'm going to just keep going through the cards. 4 is sisterhood, the feminine way. I'm going to let the art speak for itself on a lot of this. Five is pilgrimage, onward steps. I said this is 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that 5 or 6? Does anybody know? It was 5. It was 6. I think it was 5. 6 is, but we can just take in the messages and stew in the pot. Stand up, steadfast vision, 31. This feels really important, so I'm going to put it here. 7, fellowship, sharing and coming together. Wow, it's so beautiful. We're doing that right now. 8, I think a lot of you had 8, and it's peace, the walk for peace. 49, calm center, calm mind. And 9 is Peter, denial and weakness. So Peter, to me, when this type of energy shows up, this reminds me a lot of judging the judger. This reminds me a lot of going with the crowd. This reminds me a lot of those times in life where we know in our gut, we know in our heart the right thing to do, but we also know that doing that right thing could cause backlash. So instead we just don't. This is what this is the energy that my guides are presenting. So, and this is really paradoxical in today's landscape because we're synthesizing as a collective a lot of buried information. And I wouldn't say that as the collective becomes aware of what I'll call them the awakened already knew, it is not necessarily the time to act for most of you. For most of you, it's going to be you building the practices, letting this resurgence and collective witnessing of some dark energy, you're going to need to build the tools necessary to cultivate a coherent field. You're going to need to build the tools necessary to regulate your nervous system. You're going to need to build the tools necessary to stay in your center when there's so many storming energies that tell you you're not allowed to stay in your center. They talked about in the beginning the fast energy, the frenetic energy. The information resurgence, the information going collective, and don't forget this too. It's important to mention. How do I say this part? How do I say this part? The things that go collective or mass scale, the things that are going to be showing up mass, please don't forget this important message right here. There is always going to be a design, an intention behind all of it. And we're not going to go into the details of any of this right now, but what I want you to know is the design, the intention behind what is all over every news platform, every media outlet, every social media, everything. Turn you against your neighbor. This is their plan. Make you think all humans are this slimy version of human. Make you fear your neighbor. Make you fear yourself. Make you fear the control system that is collapsing. I want you to hear that again. They're trying to make you fear the control system that has already collapsed. So the only way they can get to you at this point is by tricking you into fearing what has already collapsed. So just, my guides are being like a little bit fiery and fierce, like they're wearing these like, I would say fire coats. I don't know, it's hard to explain. They're wearing these like fire coats. And they're saying you need to bring the violet flame into this. You need to bring the violet flame into this. They're even saying the emerald flame. I've never heard of them say emerald flame before. But they're saying they just want to remind us that there's a design. There's a design to all of this. Love your neighbor. Love yourself. Love these new earth builders that are on the earth right now that have been called misfits and been told to be embarrassed their entire life. These new earth builders, people that call themselves different, people that feel extremely unique on the earth plane, people that feel that they're here for a mission, people that are here to anchor the new earth. We bind together in a time on earth where the systems that are collapsing are going to be trying as hard as they can to get you to believe that they're in control of you, even though you are in control of you. So we're talking about loosh here. We have to be really wise. Some of you are old souls or you don't resonate with that statement, so don't also get tripped up into thinking that like you're the only one in the world that has morals. A lot of us out here have morals. Okay? There's a lot of really good-hearted people on this planet. And if we want to be truthful about what is the core essence, the foundation of a soul, it's love. It's love. So, the last little thing I'll just put in here about this, because I can feel you all on the certain topic that they're channeling about. There's a lot of seeds of truth in the movie Zoolander. It's kind of crazy how many seeds of truth there are in the movie Zoolander, like showing us what was going on before we could know what was going on. That's it. That's it on that. That's it on that. We're going to switch it up a little bit at the end because I want to, and yes, so that's what it'll do. So this is a little thing that kind of gives us insight. Let's see as a collective what we can kind of like anchor with this part. Trust of self. Solar plexus chakra. It seems like they really wanted to talk about the solar plexus chakra today. Trust of self. So while you observe the world maybe going batshit crazy, let's just be real, don't lose trust of self. Right now, you got to be anchoring your trust of self. Know thyself. Trust thyself. Love thyself. Nurture thyself. Allow expression of self. And then I want to get one more Rose Oracle. And remember, they're saying, remember your soul does trust itself. So it's not that your soul is working at, like your soul doesn't come into an incarnation to trust itself. they're like, Bree, you gotta corral this. Your soul doesn't come into an incarnation to trust yourself. The whole trusting yourself thing is an ego game. So it's like, you gotta work through the parts of your ego that have been conditioned not to trust yourself, but remember that it's not like you came into the earth plane with a lack of trust of self. You're returning to that like innate trust of self. 3. Rose without thorns. This is really putting the little cherry on top of the sundae today. You have a right to your joy, peace, sweetness of life. So again, what we're seeing in the world might make you think that you have to have thorns. You have to get all your weaponry. You have to protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. This is a message saying that is not the way. I'm going to do a little aura sweep at the end. And a lot of you, what I'm feeling, thank you for the gifts. What I'm feeling in the field right now is if frenetic energy seems to be a thing you're confronting, and don't forget to hydrate. Thank you, Karina. If frenetic energy is something that is kind of like you're noticing it in your reality, the message then is slow down. It's simple. Very, very simple. If you're sensing frenetic energy, the next time you sense frenetic energy, like hear or float up and envisioned a post-it or something that says slow down. Because when you're in frenetic energy, like the way that I see it is like, it's like there's a lot of effort with like very little like lasting effect. So it's very like, okay, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't help you. It just feels like shit to experience. Okay. So if you sense that you're getting into that frenetic energy, just slow down. Just go a little slower. Just slow yourself down a little bit. Remember, you're not your thoughts. So observe your thoughts. Observe the observer. See how many times you can get yourself to observe the observer. So maybe like you see yourself observing it one way, observe that part that's observing that. And then you see that self kind of observing it that way, observe that. Then you see that observation, observe that. Kind of keep doing this energy. This is going to help you with channeling and flow state. But the more you can practice this, observing what is going on and then removing and observing and removing and observing and removing and observing, the more in touch with your superconscious state you'll become. They're just planting that seed. They're saying that is the process of getting back into your superconscious awareness, is by observe the observer, observe the observer, observe the observer, observe the observer. And it takes practice, even though it's like a remembered skill. It's so ironic, everything on earth. Everything on earth is paradoxical. It's fun. Okay, so I hope that you all enjoyed this today. Please hydrate. Please know that everything that you received here it's just more of you. You are just accessing your Akash in this. And if you want to take in the replay, because this felt like a very timeless transmission, especially for topics like pace, judging the judger, observing the observer, all those things came really into the session. So the replays in the Energy Healing membership, I'll have it uploaded there this afternoon. Also this feels like one you might want to repeat a few times in a few different ways. They're saying like some of you will want to take it in, don't like watch it. Just listen to it, like while you're, I don't know, just like living your life. Not driving or operating machinery, though. We don't want to do it while driving or operating machinery. Okay, we're going to take one collective breath together. Are we ready? Take a deep breath in. Hold. Hold all that love, all that beauty, all that you. And release. All right. I love you all. Namaste.